New archer commanders Zhuge Liang and Dido look super strong on paper, but should you really invest on them? That's a different story. Let's go.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Without wasting no time, we start with Zhuge Liang's first skill. By the way, he's the open field archer commander, and Dido is the garrison commander. And since 90% of players are mostly interested on open field, we are going to start with this guy. A first skill deals direct damage up to 5 nearby enemy troops, and damage factor goes up to 2000, which is amazing. And by the way, it doesn't say if it is a circular area, just like YSG, or if it's a cone-shaped area, like Sun Tzu, but on Heracles skill, it also don't say it is a circular AoE. So for now, we cannot be sure until we actually see this skill, but even if it's not a circular AoE, it is still amazing. 2000 damage factor, 5 target AoE, and as always, that is pretty standard. Damage dealt to each target is reduced by 15% for each additional target, but on top of that, all targets deal 15% less damage for the next 3 seconds. Less damage, it's not less attack, it's not less skill damage, it is less all damage. I think this buff, 5 enemy troops for 3 seconds, I think that's pretty strong. Second skill, archer units led by this commander gain 10% increased health, goes up to 30%, and I just love health, and deal 5% extra damage, so we have some damage bonus plus tankiness, which is amazing. Whenever this commander's troop is inflicted with a control effect, if you click on it, you can see on the bottom, includes effects such as silence, disarm, and heal immune, while on the map, it has a 50% chance to negate the effect, so you are completely removing that effect and dealing direct damage up to 500 to the attacking troop, and this effect can trigger once every 5 seconds, which is quite frequent. So I love the first skill, I love the second skill. Let's take a look at the third one, Long Zong Plan. I probably butchered that. If this commander's troop contains only archer units, which it should because it's an archer commander, it deals 5% extra skill damage and goes up to 20%. Just like Yi Song, normal attacks from this commander's troop have 10% chance to increase the damage, 50% attack increase for 3 seconds with a 10% chance, and this effect again can trigger every 5 seconds. I think this skill is also really strong. And the fourth one is pretty nuts. Whenever this commander uses an active skill, their troops gain the Marquis effect, which increases damage dealt by 2%, and this effect cannot be dispelled by other troops. So they cannot take the power, the benefit of this effect away from you for 10 seconds. And by the way, this increased damage goes up to 10% for 10 seconds if it does not already have it. If you don't already have the Marquis effect, this is the bonus that you get. If their troop contains only archer units and it has the Marquis effect, whenever this commander uses an active skill, they will consume that Marquis effect to deal direct damage up to 3 nearby troops. Again, another AoE damage. It says 700, but it goes up to 1.5k, and this 1.5k damage doesn't get reduced by 15% like the active skill, so this is flat 1.5k, and the damage dealt through this method is not affected by buffs to skill damage. As I said, it is 1.5k flat damage. Now, expertise. When you enter the battle, this commander's troop gain the Marquis effect immediately, which is 10% increased damage for 15 seconds. Each time they're burning off Xenia or Marquis Zong, like, what are those skills, bro? Whatever skills deal skill damage, this commander's troop immediately gains 30 rage. So on top of everything, we also now have rage regeneration, just like Yi Song. But what this does is, when you expertise this commander, when you enter the battle, you immediately start casting the second portion of the skill, because now with your expertise, you will have the Marquis effect when you enter the battle. So you will trigger the second portion immediately, because it says if the troop contains only archer units and it has the Marquis effect, which you will have, whenever this commander uses an active skill, they will consume the effect and deal direct damage. So that is pretty strong. It might be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to say it. If this guy has AoE skill damage, now we have a YSG 2.0. That is what I think, and this commander is certainly going to be one of the most feared commanders in the open field. and one of the best investments for certain type of players. We will get into that just in a few moments. But first, let's talk about Dido. She is a pure garrison commander. You're not going to use her in the open field. You're not going to use her in rallies, obviously. This is purely garrison. Deals direct damage to a troop up to 2k damage if the target is a rallied army, which is going to be the case. This skill also reduces the skill damage of up to 5 enemy troops near this commander's troop for 30% for 3 seconds. I think this is huge. If you ever played or watched the live stream of Imperium Kingdom KVKs, you should know that the winner is mostly decided by the power of swarmers. The kingdom that swarms the structures better usually wins the KVK. And this girl, Dido, is going to help the garrison leaders a lot when it comes to fighting against swarmers. So this first skill, I think, pretty huge. Archer units led by this commander, 10% increased defense goes up to 20%, which is decent, and 5% increased damage to infantry. This was expected. If this commander's troop contain only archer unit, of course, which it should, but in garrison, usually kingdoms try to go for versatility, such as using mixed troops with Zenobia, Yi Sun-sin, etc. But for her, you need to use purely archer unit because now it takes 10% less normal attack damage, which is again pretty strong. This one, RIP, and also RIP. Archer units led by this commander gain 20% increased attack. That is okay. Now, while garrisoned in a stronghold or your city, the normal attacks of this commander's troops have 20% chance to inflict the ambushed effect on the target troop for 3 seconds. What does ambush do? That prevents the target troop from benefiting effect triggered by being surrounded. This effect can trigger every 8 seconds. So in every 8 seconds, you can trigger this effect, which is called ambushed, for 3 seconds, and it stops every single benefit you get when you are being surrounded. Let's look at Tariq ibn Ziyad and his first skill. If this commander's troop is surrounded, this skill deals additional damage to the target, 300. This might seem small, but this just keeps adding up, and when you launch a rally, you will be attacked by the garrison and your enemies will most likely launch a counter rally on your rally, so that for a fair amount of time your rally will be swarmed. But this skill, this additional part of the skill, will have no benefit if the garrison is Dido, and Pakal obviously benefits so much from being swarmed. This one, for example, while on the map, gains extra damage reduction when surrounded. Damage reduction equals number of surrounding enemies, 1%, maximum 6 enemies, and it goes up to 10%, and all damage taken decrease goes to 5%. And if you multiply this by 6, it is 30%. So Dido actually makes Pakal Tariq rallies very swarmable, which is crazy. Her fourth skill, while garrisoned in a stronghold or city, archer units led by this commander 10% increased health and can reduce incoming skill damage 15% once every 10 seconds. Once every 10 seconds is not very frequent, but still, this is a decent defensive skill because you are getting 20% health, and on top of that, some amount of skill damage taken reduction. And her expertise buffs her skill that counters Tariq and Pakal even more. Instead of 20% increased attack, now you're getting 40% increased attack. The bonus is just simply doubled. Now instead of 20% chance to just inflict ambush, we have 30% chance to inflict ambush, and on top of that, we can also apply 40% defense reduction. I think both commanders are really great. Dido is going to be very strong in the garrison, and Zhuge Liang is going to be very strong in the open field. But, as I said at the start of the video, at least 90, I'm going to say like 95% of players doesn't care about garrison commanders, because even though you have the best garrison commanders, you still need to have the best equipment to actually garrison a structure. And even if you do have the best garrison, you need maximum crystal technology, you need maximum VIP, at least a 5% extra damage, blah blah blah. And even if you have all of them, now on top of that, we need formations and armaments. All needs to be at the very elite level. So for majority of players, we don't care about, unfortunately, I wish we could, but we don't care about garrison or rally commanders. But this one, now, I said it's going to be YSG 2.0. But the problem is, most of us already have YSG 1.0, which is the original YSG, of course. There we have it. And we invested on Boudica. Boudica, I think, still one of the best archer commanders, and I don't regret my investment. I don't care. Since I already have Boudica and Yisong, this investment will be an extreme luxury for me, and I think for most players. Now, if you already have YSG expertise from pre-season of Conquest, but for some reason you didn't invest on Boudica, and if you are still using your YSG with some scuffed commanders like Charles YSG, Alex YSG, etc., you can certainly try to pair them together. However, here's the tricky part. If you invest on this guy, if you pair him with YSG, most players will certainly just pretty much quote-unquote one-shot your march, so you won't get the benefit of all those high damage numbers. My recommendation is, if you're going to invest on this guy, you either need to not have YSG so that you can go, instead of Boudica YSG, you can go this guy and Boudica. That is an alternative. But if you do already have Boudica and YSG, my advice is either you have to skip this guy, at least for now, until you go for a second march. And even if you are going to go for a second archer march, in this case, you either need Artemisia, Henry, or Nebu. Because what you can do is you can pair your Boudica with your either YSG or Artemisia. If you already have YSG, of course, you don't need to invest on Artemisia. But for Zhuge Liang, you are going to either invest on Henry or Nebuchadnezzar and pair them together. That is what I would do. So if you already have Boudica YSG, just hold on to your sculptures for now. If you are not going for a second archer march, I mean, if you want to, yes, of course, this guy is going to be a beast, like simple as that. Like, he's so strong. He doesn't have no tankiness at all, but his damage is going to be crazy and his debuff. But if you are still working on your Nevsky, Zhong, Guan, Scipio, etc., I would say don't invest on him right now. If I go for one archer march only and I have all the sculptures in the world and no expertise commanders, I would probably go with Boudica and Zhuge Liang as my one archer march only. But since most of us already have YSG, I would still prefer Boudica YSG. And if I'm going to use this guy on top of my Boudica YSG, as I said, I will either go for Henry or Nebu and use Zhuge Liang with one of those two. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as you can see, a commander being absolutely a beast on paper doesn't mean that you should always invest on him. And here is another Rise of Kingdoms video, which is going to help you a lot when it comes to crafting the most ideal equipment for your account. I see you on that one. Make sure to tap on it, and bye.